What's up, fight fans? George Zapata here. Going to give you my picks for this weekend's UFC 309 fights between Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic, and a few of the undercard fights. I will go through the Bo Nickal fight and the Michael Chandler fight. This is definitely a big weekend. It marks the return of Jon Jones, the return of Stipe Miocic. Both been out for a little bit. Jones 37, Stipe at 42 years old, coming back from a long layoff. He hasn't fought since, well, his last win was in 2020. And that is a long time ago. He suffered two vicious knockouts, and that may play a factor here as we get into the breakdown. Well, Jon Jones returns this Saturday night in the main event as he defends his UFC Heavyweight Championship against Stipe Miocic. And it's a fight where I think you're going to see who actually is the greatest heavyweight of all time. In my opinion, the greatest heavyweight of all time will be decided here. But right now, the greatest heavyweight of all time is Jon Jones, the greatest mixed martial artist and probably the greatest combat sports fighter I've ever seen is Jon Jones. Right up there next to probably Floyd Mayweather as far as combat sports that I've seen. I don't know, the era of the Sugar Ray Robinsons, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Mike Tysons. I don't think Mike Tyson is the greatest one I've ever seen. I haven't seen Sugar Ray Robinson, never seen him fight as far as in person, but that would be something that I'd have to go back and look at. But I can't really judge. It's a whole different era. People are a lot bigger. They have more technology, more skills. So put that aside, Jon Jones is the greatest fighter in combat sports that I've ever seen. Let me get you right to my picks right away. That way you too can pick the opposite, because I'm just terrible at picks. But let's go to the undercard first. Bo Nickal returns to the ring to face Paul Craig. And this fight, I think it's a little bit of a step up for Bo Nickal. However, Bo Nickal is one of the most talented up and coming fighters I've seen in a long time. He did struggle in his last fight a little bit. There was a little bit of a pushback there, but he got through it, got the win. So I'm going to go with Bo Nickal here in this fight, and I think he stops him early. A lot of these fights, you're going to see what the theme's going to be here in the show. Next fight up is Michael Chandler returning to the ring after his saga with Conor McGregor, which I'm going to get to in a little bit also. He's taking on Charles Oliveira. This fight, I think, is a bad fight for Michael Chandler. The reason being, he's been out for a while. Has really been has his focus elsewhere. And I do believe this is going to be another knockout, this time in favor of Charles Oliveira. Now, Charles is not known for being a knockout guy, but Michael Chandler's a great wrestler. I think he'll be able to avoid that, but I do see Charles Oliveira knocking him out relatively early, maybe second round. And of course, the big main event of UFC 309, Jon Jones, as he defends the UFC Heavyweight Championship against Stipe Miocic, in a fight that will determine who the greatest of all time is in the heavyweight division. Here's how this fight, I believe, is going to play out. I believe it plays out very quickly, similar to how the fight with Cyril Gane played out with Jon Jones. I don't think you've seen someone like Jon Jones in the heavyweight division ever. I think Jon Jones is one of these fighters that comes around once in a lifetime, and there's not many that go away undefeated. Jon Jones technically should be undefeated, and it's ironic that the 12-6 elbows are now legal. I believe here Jon Jones makes his statement emphatically. Stipe Miocic has been knocked out viciously the last two times he lost, just viciously knocked out. He's 42. You don't come back from knockouts like that and put on a one big fight, especially against a guy like Jon Jones. It just doesn't happen. If it did happen, I would be the most shocked guy in America. Just don't think it can. Jon Jones will win this fight by knockout, and he's going to do it early, and I think he's going to do it emphatically. Jon Jones will go down in history after this fight as the greatest heavyweight of all time and the greatest mixed martial artist and combat sports fighter of all time. That being said, he will resume his position as the number one pound-for-pound fighter. And I also believe, although he's not saying, and if you go watch Kevin Ioli's interview with him on Kevin Owens' YouTube channel. He does say that he'd rather fight Alex Pereira. In my opinion, as opposed to Tom Aspinall, in my opinion, that is a negotiation ploy. I think he will eventually fight Tom Aspinall. I am not as high on Tom Aspinall as everybody else is. I'm not. I still believe, even though Tom's younger and John Jones is 37, I still believe John Jones has the skills to beat, if not stop, Tom Aspinall. Don't take my word on that. I wouldn't place a bet on it, but that is my opinion from what I see. Now, Tom Aspinall is incredible. He's a fantastic fighter. So please, I'm not saying he's not. He doesn't have the ability to win that fight. My feeling is I haven't seen enough in the resume of high level. If you go through the list, is who he's fought. High level competition. Don't give me Curtis Blades. Competition in the heavyweight division that he's fought and beat convincingly. Now, if Tom Aspinall beat a guy like Cyril Gane, I'd go with it. I'd say, hey, then there's something there. And what really this fight does is puts into perspective how good John Jones really was, currently is, and if he could go on to beat someone. Now, if he beats Tom Aspinall, my God, like, you really gotta give it to him there. Although I don't think he's on his level yet. Then there is no argument at all that he's the greatest of all time. But even if Tom Aspinall did win, you got to look at John Jones' body of work from his light heavyweight all the way up. He's beaten so many good fighters that people thought he was going to lose against. People didn't give him a shot at 20-some years old to win the light heavyweight championship, and he did easily. The marks on his career, John, would probably be the steroid, get popping hot for steroids. But, you know, I think you'd be a fool to not think that most of these fighters are doing something and just happen to get caught. UFC 309 returns this Saturday to New York City and ultimately will decide who the greatest heavyweight of all time was. And most likely, the outcome will be John Jones reigns supreme as the greatest heavyweight of all time. Guys, thank you. I appreciate you watching and giving me the time here. But remember, here are my picks. John Jones by KO, Bo Nickel by KO, and Charles Oliveira by KO. All by KO. UFC 309, Madison Square Garden, guys. Tune in. It'll be a great show, I think. I really think it's going to be a great show, but short night. That being said, don't be envious of what I've accomplished in my life. Be inspired by what you can do with yours. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.